Before I start the program, and for the sake of waiting for Rabbi Beliak, I would like to invite our panelists to start with their own thoughts about the interfaith. We start with Father Alexei.
Thank you. Doctor, thank you for inviting me once again. It's always a pleasure to come here. The Catholic Church has been involved in interfaith dialogue for about 40 years now, since the end of the Second Vatican Council. It was a dramatic shift for us. We're into confession. I'm confessing to you all that we didn't think much of interfaith dialogue until the Second Vatican Council in the mid-60s, when the bishops of our church gathered together and redirected our thought towards other non-Christian churches, non-Christian religious bodies. And the reason for that was that we realized that there is truth in every religion. Admittedly, we used to think we were the sole possessors of the truth. We don't believe that anymore. There are the decree on our relations with other faiths, other non-Christian faiths especially, states in effect that there are rays of that light which everyone seeks to follow, present in every religion. And therefore the Catholic Church would deny nothing that is truthful and helpful in other faiths. And that's been our guide. Since those early 60s, we try to live that. And since that time, up until, and of course, great impetus then with 9/11, the 10th anniversary that we're celebrating here in a few days now, provided us with another opportunity to engage in interfaith dialogue. And dialogue is not just an idea of trying to convert one person to another person's way of thought, but rather it is an opportunity to open yourself, to be enriched by the other, to accept the other for who she or he is, and what he or she believes, and allow yourself to be enriched by that, and then acknowledging that there are differences, but also accepting those differences, not letting those differences impede our working together for the greater good of all humanity. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Am I the one with bad luck?
You're
Yeah. Does this work? Can you hear me in the back?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah, with the 28th day of Ramadan, the hearing tends to go after a while. So you have to excuse me. First of all, thank you for the invitation, Dr. Namazikhah, and thank you for squeezing me in the middle so I have no way out. So I'll have to make the best out of the situation. Well, I mean, with interfaith issue, I think for Muslims it's really a non-issue because, number one, in terms of the chain of revelation, we believe that we're the new kids on the block after Abraham and Moses and Jesus and Muhammad in terms of the messages and the messengers. So we, by design of our own religion, have to acknowledge that there are other faiths. There's Judaism, there's Christianity, and the Quran says that the Jews who believe in the Torah and the Christians who believe in the gospel, anyone who believes in God and the last day and basically works for righteousness, they shall not have to worry on the day of judgment that God will reward them, that God will take care of them. That's the basic message in the Quran. In other words, we are not the chosen, and we don't believe that our path is the only path to salvation and the path to God. That there are many paths to God. And the Quran even more specifically says, لِكُلٍّ جَعَلْنَا مِنْكُمْ شِرْعَةً وَمَنْهَاجًا وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا وَلَكِنْ لِيَبْلُوكُمْ فِي مَا أَتَاكُمْ فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. That to each of you we have made a different law. And here the word Sharia comes in. Shiratan. وَمَنْهَاجًا, in a different way, different method. And if it were God's will, He would have made you into one community, but instead He tests you with the different circumstances under which you operate. And the clincher at the end is, so therefore go and compete in doing good work on this earth. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. Do the good things. That's the key. All the other stuff, when we return to God after this life, He will explain to us what all this was about in terms of theology and understanding and our relationship with God and with each other. So the idea of interfaith is something that is not uncommon in Islam. In fact, it is the basis of every of our understanding and our outlook towards society. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in forming the first state where a person was elected and did not become a ruler by bloodline in Medina, he had to rule as a person who ruled among Christians in Medina, among Jews in Medina, among polytheists in Medina, and among people who didn't believe in any of that. So that was also a pluralistic society. And finally the Quran says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O you people. Now it's not just talking to Muslims, it's talking to the world, talking to the world at large of humanity. Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum qaba'ilan shu'uban wa qaba'ilan la ta'arafu. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. So the Quran is saying, "O you people, we have created you from a single pair, a male and a female, and differentiated you and developed you into different nations and tribes so that you may learn from one another, so that you may come to know one another." And here it says, "The best among you, the most honorable among you, are those who are the God conscious." And that's it. To be God conscious and to do good work for humanity, regardless of who we are serving humanity. And in Ramadan, spirituality comes in achieving closeness to God by serving humanity.
It's a privilege to be here. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters. It's a privilege to be amongst you. I represent the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm the Director of Muslim Relations for the church here in Southern California. In the early days of our church, the Latter-day Saints built a large city in Illinois, having been driven from Missouri by mobs. They settled in Illinois and built a large city, and one of the first acts of the city council was to invite people of all faiths to come and settle with them. Amongst the people invited were, as they referred to, Mohammedans, the Muslim people. But as fate would have it, they were driven from Illinois a few years later because they were different, and traveled across the United States and settled in Salt Lake City. And early in their experience in Salt Lake City, Brigham Young invited people of all faiths to come, Catholics, Protestants, Jews, others to come, and even gave them property when they came to build their chapels amongst the Latter-day Saints. We have an interest in making friends with everyone in the world. Being persecuted, there's a necessity of making friends with everyone in the world because of our past experiences. But it's also part of our belief and doctrine is to reach out, and because we consider all people our brothers and sisters. We believe that there's truth in all faiths, and we can learn from other people and other faiths. Let me give you just two examples of interfaith work. Judy and I have been part of working with the Muslim people for the last 5 years, and we were scared to death when we walked into our first mosque and when we were first asked to do this, because we didn't know that much. We'd had some experience, but not a lot, and we were welcomed immediately. We felt very comfortable. And since then, we've visited most of the major mosques in Southern California, and we know most of the major leaders, and we love them. We appreciate the camaraderie we feel with them. Let me give you one example of last night. I don't know, in Yorba Linda, I don't know if you saw the video that was on YouTube a few months ago. It was entitled Hate in Orange County. It's a terrible situation where the people, the local Muslims in Yorba Linda, wanted to do a community service project, raise some funds for humanitarian aid and of the homeless. So they invited some speakers to come in and address them. And somehow the Tea Party people got wind of this, and they circulated all kinds of lies about the speakers and the Muslim people. And when they had the event, it was held in a city building, and the people said they shouldn't be in this city building paid by our taxpayers. And they harassed the families, and you can see it on the video as they're coming and said, "Go back to where you came from." Most of these people born in the United States. But it was terrible. Well, last night I attended an iftar. The Latter-day Saints in Yorba Linda invited the Muslim community to come and break fast with them. And we had over 100 people there last night. And one word describes what I felt there was joy. Because I saw people come together and them saying, "We're sorry for what other people have done in the community, but we love you. We want to get to know you." And many of them, that was the first time that they'd ever been into a Mormon building. Most of the Latter-day Saints had never met a Muslim before. We went in and observed the prayers before the dinner. We had a wonderful evening. One other example. A year ago, my wife, because of our experience with the Muslims and during Ramadan, and because of our feelings of that there's a spiritual power that comes from fasting, and we see the difference from the beginning of Ramadan towards the end. We feel a difference as we visit the different mosques with people. And my wife said, I want to experience that, so she decided to fast. Now, the Latter-day Saints fast for 24 hours once a month. And I said, there's no way that I can go for 30 days fasting, so you're on your own with this. And she did, and she enjoyed it so much. And I felt a difference and saw this difference that I said, okay, this next year I'm going to fast with you during Ramadan. Well, it just so happened our kids came and grandkids and their families came and visited us the first part of August, and so I had an excuse. I said, well, you know, I take the grandkids out to ice cream, I do all these things with them. I'm not going to fast while they're here. They left on the 10th of August, and so I said, okay, I'm going to fast after that. And Judy started on the 1st. She fed our family. Some nights there were 30 people in our house. She cooked the foods, she ate. We usually ate about 6 or so. She never ate till after 8 o'clock or whenever the time was. And well, I thank the Muslim people. I thank God for the privilege of fasting. Even though I've done it once a month all my life, I've been doing it ever since the 10th, and I've promised the people, my kids, that we're going to fast next year. I'm going to fast from the beginning. I asked them since July 20th to August 18th. We're fasting, so please don't come and visit at that time, or else you're going to have to deal with some grumpy grandparents. But I've learned from you. Thank you very much for all that you give us.
It's an honor to sit next to such a distinguished religious leaders that we have here in the panel. And thank you very much, Dr. Namazikhah, for inviting me to be a part of this. The idea of closeness among the monotheist religions is not new to Muslims, as Mr. Al-Marayati explained. All the worshipping duties that we have in other Abrahamic religions, we also have in Islam. In fact, we call them Sharai al-Sabiqa, the previous laws, worshipping laws, devotional laws. And fasting is part of it, of course. It's also important now, since we all have agreed that there is no attempt in proving anyone superior to the other. The history of interfaith dialogue among religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, has a very, very long history. In the part of Muslims, especially in Iran and among the Shiites, in 1940s and 1950s, grand ayatollahs in Iran started to establish important organizations to get the religions, all the religions, close to each other, held conferences in Iran, in Lebanon, in Iraq, and with cooperation of the rector of Al-Azhar at the time, Sheikh Mahmoud Shaltut, and we all embraced the idea of closeness. We all embraced the idea of getting to learn from each other and getting to know from each other, as the Quran explicitly wants us and commands us to do. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to praise the unity of humanity through our religious belief, and I believe that this event can help us promote that sense.